My first guest tonight has been a slippery one to get hold of. You know, it was rumoured that he was seriously injured, but, you know, like a lot of really good players, he's just feigning it for sympathy. And he's perhaps the only golfer in the history of the game more windswept, elegant and interesting than I am. And his wobbly bits are bigger than mine too. But tonight, for once in his life, I was led to believe that he needed my help. Josh, I need your help.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Oi, oi, oi!
Please welcome Aussie superstar, former world #1 golfer, and multinational entrepreneur with his own Irish mascot, the great white shark, Greg Norman.
That's true.
What was the name of your pig? BJ or EJ?
Rashers.
Rashers.
Yeah, well, EJ.
I'm not going to touch your hand after we've seen that pig.
No, that's true enough. Handling pork, you've got to be very careful.
It should never be raw.
Well, tell me a little bit about this fake injury. I mean, I know you were supposed to have knee surgery.
I was?
Yeah, well, see, that's the information I get from my minions.
Well,
and as I said, it's very difficult to get good minions these days. Yeah.
Really? You should go to Australia. Forget the Irish. Go to Australia. Get some really good minions down there.
Good minions down there?
Very good minions.
Yeah.
No, look, I was supposed to have surgery. I was supposed to hobble up here with you.
Yeah.
But knowing that I would have fallen off this ramp, I decided to defer it for another week, and I'll have it next week now that I won't see you for a while.
It was very disappointing for me that you're not injured.
It is. You could have.
I mean, I was hoping that, you know, for once in my life, you know, a fat windbag like me might be able to beat you in a foot race. I mean, that's never happened before.
Let's go.
No. No.
Barefoot.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Uncle.
Yes.
Yeah. Uncle.
Yes.
No. You win.
We'll move the club car. We'll move the club car, and we'll go back there, and we'll race and see who gets first in the chair.
Race and see. But listen. I know that you're not in great shape, and oh, mother of pearl.
Okay.
Yeah.
We both got leather soles. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's very slippery.
I saw that swan dive into the fountain. I'm sure you can go swan diving.
You know, that fountain was only, they said 24 inches deep. It was 15 inches deep.
Yeah, well.
And I skinned my knees and my elbows. You try explaining that to your wife. Yeah.
And you were sober too, right?
Well, I know, yeah. It wasn't the smartest thing I'd done. Well, you know what? We'll be back with more of this, whatever the hell it is, in just a minute.
Coming up, more with Greg Norman, best-selling author James Patterson, and Olympic hero Mike Eruzione.
David, you're not going to believe this. UL is presenting your show.
What's wrong with that?
UL, the independent global safety organization with more than 100 years of expertise advancing the science of safety. Does that sound like you, David?
Wow. Oh. Maybe I should go see them.
UL, a safety science company protecting people, products, and places for more than a century.
Come on, I'm going to call it here to iron my coat.
Okay, I guess
for no other reason. Look at this.
Look at that. The key is to leave the seam, which we've done.
It's like having a butler with one T. Yeah, that's more like it. You see, that's a proper minion. That's a proper minion right there. Zinger.
Now, tell me a golfer that doesn't know how to iron.
Oh, yeah, no, we all do.
We all do. You think Tiger irons his own clothes?
No. No, everyone
Did you
except
ever
him.
iron your own clothes?
Yes.
I did all the time. I do it all the time, even today. I did to come on your show here, actually.
Yeah, you did? That tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Simon Hobday actually used to wash his own clothes with his laminated driver in the bathtub, just stir them up like that. Yeah. But I was hanging around the merchandise show earlier today, and there was an announcement, one of the bigger announcements I felt it was, because I wasn't sure that you had ever left this company. But you got some news.
Yeah, I had some great news, actually, and re-signing with Cobra. What a great cycle that's been for me. Yeah.
And of course, you were one of the original Cobra men. Tom Crow started the company. Yep. You bought into it, and were involved in the very early years.
Very early years, yeah. When I bought into it, I bought 12%. Actually, Tom Crow came to me, and I was with another manufacturer at the time, and he came to me and asked me if I'd have a piece of would like to buy a piece of Cobra at the time, and I said, sure, let's talk about it. And 12% turned into a little bit more, because not more than in quantity-wise, but more in value to me, because it gave me great exposure and understanding what running a business, sitting on a board was all about, research and development, where the money's going to go. And I insisted the money that I invested into the company would go into research and development, and hence the King Cobra irons came out. That was a huge success, and when I bought into it, it was doing about $35 million. And fortunately, we sold it on a few years later to another company for a little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit more. You've always, it's always been, you were never just a golfer. There was always that business side to you.
Was it?
Yeah, oh yeah, really? Absolutely. I remember, asking you several years ago. I mean, you've got the planes, you've got the automobiles, you've got the helicopter, you've got the giant boat. I mean, have you bought a train yet?
No, I'm short of trains, actually.
Yes.
You got one to sell me?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't. Well,
but now we come back full circle with Cobra. It's fascinating for me, basically, to end my career in golf, professional golf, helping a company that I had a very, very small part in the beginning. So, like anything, David, technology is a huge part of where everybody is nowadays, whether soft goods or hard goods. And Cobra's technology is, state-of-the-art, cutting edge. But when you see the really simplistic side of how they manufacture and how they build the clubs for the masses, that's exactly what we were doing back in the 80s, into the 90s, and here we are in 2014 going forward. We're going to capture that market again.
Well, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, we're in a different century now. I mean, you were the face of golf for, you were #1 in the world for 331 weeks. And I always sense, that it could have been better, but if your career had been better, it wouldn't have been nearly so much fun to watch.
Yeah, well, the problem is I played too many practice rounds with you. That was my problem.
Yeah, well, not the first. It's not that funny. It's not that funny. Really.
But we did have some good times in our good old days.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it was. It was different, playing in Europe and playing around the world. These kids work very hard today. There's no question about it. But the game has changed dramatically. When, playing in Europe, you would get 70 or 80 players on one airplane. Getting into 2 coaches.
It was a 25-seater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, if you played in Africa, yeah, absolutely. And it's just changed so much. Coaches now, they're behind players, snipping off niblets of information, quietly, whereas we all used to help each other.
Yeah, that's very true. And I remember one of my great adversaries in Severiano Ballesteros, God rest his soul, right?
Yeah.
He and I used to practice together. And Sevi was a woeful driver of the golf ball, as you know. And people probably don't realize, but Sevi's right hand was a little bit longer than his left, nearly 2 inches longer. Mm-hmm. So, those who ever watched Sevi Ballesteros play golf?
Everybody.
One of the greatest magicians, short game guys I've ever seen in my life, but he couldn't drive us. So we had this deal early on in the 80s where I would try and teach him how to drive a golf ball if he would teach me my short game. Now, you don't see that nowadays, where you have that collaboration of 2 of the top players going against each other, trying to help each other get better and better and better.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about you driving the golf ball, because you were the best with the wooden driver. There's no question about it. Right after we come back from break.
Coming up, more with the Great White Shark from Stage 20 at Universal Orlando Resort.
Safety's on.
Okay, gun's hot. Oh, you want me to hit the 4?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hit the 500.
Good shot. He knocked it down.
Oh, yeah.
Think we didn't do a number on that, baby?
Yeah. That's what your full metal jacket will do. 3/4-inch steel plate. Look, a present from Greg Norman. Excellent. It's about 75 pounds, a 3/4-inch steel plate. It shouldn't be too difficult to get it home. No, seriously, I can't actually pick that up. That's more like 100.
I got it. You got a bad shoulder. I got it.
That's pitiful. There it is. There it is. You know, the thing is, you know, when I got run over several times, it's kind of a hobby of mine. You know, my left arm, but I'm pretty sure, you know, I've been working out.
Come on.
All the rest.
Hey, Joey Theismann. Hey!
Oh, you bastard! Should have seen that one coming. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Oh, I think I tore my sack. Yeah. No, I still can't do that.
No.
Yeah. But that was, I think I did tear my sack. Yeah.
You don't have one. I just felt it. There really is nothing there.
It's cold out there.
Anyway, did we have a good time during that shoot or what?
It was, you know, people ask me, you know, what's my favorite episode? And I had more fun at the Seven Lakes. You know, it's hard to call it a ranch. It's like 5 mountains. It's unbelievable. In fact, if you didn't have thermal imaging, I would still be there. Yeah.
I got to tell you, can I tell the audience a true story about what you did there?
I'd prefer if you didn't.
Okay, all right. Look, David is one of the greatest artistic ammo makers I've ever met, right? And the 50 caliber bullets we were shooting there, David actually hand makes them for me. He actually is making 308 bullets for my sniper rifle. And please don't get us wrong, we love to shoot, but we love to shoot targets.
Yeah.
And out of my ranch, David had a mission for about 3 or 4 days to build a 1,400-yard range, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
And he disappeared. This took one of my staff, and we never saw him. And he kept going back and forwards to the maintenance building. That we hear all this noise and clanging and banging. The truck disappears up this mountain. 3 days later, David surfaces, and we actually getting ready to go out, and we hear nothing but shooting for 10 straight hours. David has unloaded maybe 1,000 rounds of ammunition, and I think it was actually 1,382 yards. I think you actually said it out.
Yeah.
And that's what we both love to do.
Yeah.
Is long range shooting.
Long range shooting.
But
I love it.
I'm better than you at it, though.
Well, you're better at than me at pretty much freaking everything. Always pissed me off, to be honest with you. I mean, it wasn't even my idea to have you on the show. Yeah. You know, according to your contemporaries, though, you know, you were the best with the persimmon driver. And I mean, I played with you often enough to see it. I mean, you drove the ball amazingly well and incredibly far with a wooden driver. What was it you think about, you know, your swing that made it so compatible with that?
I actually think it was a lot of my surfing days.
Surfing?
Surfing, yeah, because a lot of my upper body strength came from paddling. So my lat muscles and my hips were, you know, fairly small, right? So my rotation, my hips, they released very, very quickly, kind of like a fast twitch muscle. You don't have those fast twitch muscles anymore. No. But I had this incredible amount of hip speed, hip rotation, and you know, that was probably it. But my secret to it, really, David, was, in all seriousness, was how long I kept my triangle that I set between my grip and my shoulder. And I had a massive extension back here. And by the time I got to club parallel to the ground, my back was already fully to the target. Yeah. And I had all this extra power I could load up. And that was it. I didn't have any fear of unloading it.
You know, just watching you demonstrate that reminds me, people have compared Adam Scott's swing to Tiger's, but, you know, his backswing is exactly what you've just described. And I know that you really enjoy sharing, you know, knowledge and getting to know the younger Australian players. I mean, you're a huge fan of younger Australian golfers. Well, what does it mean to you to see someone like Adam Scott win after what he went through?
Well, I've only cried twice about golf. Once when I got my ass handed to me by Faldo in the Masters.
Oh, that would make I would still be weeping. Yeah.
And but that wasn't my fault, by the way. I had nothing to do with that.
Oh, I know.
And the next one when I had a tear in my eye for Adam Scott when he won the Masters on Sunday night. And I was sitting there with my wife and my son. You know, we were pounding beers for, you know, every second we were watching TV. I was so nervous I didn't know who was going to win, right? And, you know, obviously I was hoping for an Australian to win. I thought it was going to be Jason Day. And then all of a sudden Adam comes up. And look, I think that's the spirit. I mean, you know, when you're fortunate enough to come from small countries like we have, where we grow up so close together and we just have so much pride in seeing people be successful. When Adam won it, you know, there's no question. I actually had a tear in my eye for him because I knew what it meant for Adam, but more for Australian golf and golf in general, because we checked the box. Now Australia's really pretty much got everything covered in the game of golf. Yeah.
And you were one of the first phone calls that he made?
Yeah, actually, I was probably the first. I was probably yes, it was. It was pretty special. You know, I know how busy he was at that stage. You know, where you're getting pulled and pushed everywhere. But for him to reach out almost immediately was very, very special.
You know, you play occasionally, but you've got so many other interests now. You know, when you look back at your playing career, you know there were highs, there were lows, and you know, I was saying to you earlier, you know, if you had been more consistent, it wouldn't have been nearly as riveting as it was. Are there any regrets? You know, or I mean, are you in the place that you wanted to be?
Look, to be honest with you, would there be a lot of players that would like to swap my careers for their career, my career for their career? Maybe there is. Would I have liked to swap my career for somebody else's? Maybe there is, right? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I play golf with such passion. There wasn't a shot I didn't fear. There wasn't a golf course I didn't want to play. And there wasn't a player or competitor I had any fear to play against. So when I went out to play golf, I played with such passion. And I wore my heart on my sleeve, you know. Yeah. And you could see how I was feeling that day. And at the end of the day, in the media room, I had a fireside chat with the media because I thought it was a symbiotic relationship that you got to have, even though some don't like you, some do like you. So it was me embracing all of it. And you know, when I look back on it, it was fantastic, really fantastic. And to still be a bit of part of the game and seeing the development of it, growing around the world like it is in China, and being asked by the Chinese central government to help navigate the Chinese Olympic team to some type of future medal. Whether they'll ever get there, we hope so. Those things now mean more to me than winning golf championships, because winning leads to where we are today. Yeah. And you know, I have no regrets, David.
Do you miss it?
I miss the competition. I do not miss the practice. I mean, 4.5 million golf balls later, I don't miss practicing.
No, I remember you in a pool of sweat at the Medalist on a day where I went down to do an outing for just a corporate speaking engagement, and you were just, I've never seen anybody wetter that wasn't a mackerel. You know?
Or a shark, maybe.
Yeah, or a shark. Yeah, for that matter. Well, thank you so much, Greg. You know, we'll be back with more from Feherty Live in just a moment.
Ozzy, Ozzy, Ozzy! Oi, oi, oi!
Coming up, best-selling author James Patterson and miracle Olympic hero Mike Garuzioni on Feherty Live.
The Shark.